Hi everyone, welcome back to our Azure DevOps learning series. Till the last session, we have learned about Azure repos, how to create a branch, how to push the code to the branches, what are all our branch policies, repository settings, and the best practice of the branching strategy. Today we are going to be discuss the core concept of Azure DevOps is CI/CD pipeline. And in the CI/CD pipeline, today we will talk more on to the pipeline as a code which has been written in a language called as YAML. What does YAML means? YAML stands for YAML and markup language. It is a human readable data format that can use to define the CI and CD pipeline in Azure DevOps. So let's get started today to be talk more on to the basic of YAML file, how to create a YAML file and our first pipeline using the YAML as a code. If you remember on the last session, we have created our first repo. We have the branches right there. Within that one, I have created one YAML file. You can create by clicking on the three dots and create a new file and give it as a name as my first pipeline.yaml. You can mention it as YAML or YAML, both will work here. And as soon as you can create it, it will create a new file. By default, it is empty file. You can start putting it up. So let's save it out and then we will go through little bit more onto the pipeline concepts. So I will jump on to the pipeline that I've created to go through the basic reserved keywords right there for the pipeline that can define that how you want the pipeline to be triggered, how you want your scripts or the CI/CD pipeline to be managed. So let's click on this one and see. Okay, I will go through one by one onto few of those keywords and then we'll quickly see how the pipeline can be triggered. First keyword, if you can see here with the name as trigger, that means how and when you want these pipelines to be triggered. Either you want it to be done automatically, you want it to be done manually. That needs to be defined as part of trigger. If you can mention trigger colon space, let me edit this one as none. It means you want this pipeline to be executed manually. However, here I have used another keyword that I want my pipeline to be triggered whenever there is any change happen in a branch, which means I want to include which particular branch, main. We can include other branches as well by giving the another dash and put the branch name here. It means that now my pipeline will be triggered only when there is any change happen to the main branch. Sometimes when a team is working on very complex project, there might be a chance that they have multiple folders under that and each folder itself be a code. Then I don't want my all pipelines to be get it triggered every time. So I want to be more specific now that how I want my pipeline to be triggered, that it can trigger definitely whenever there is a change in the main branch. However, even though within a main branch, I want that if the path in the main branch include the source, then only it can trigger. Also exclude the readme file. If there is any change in the readme file, don't include that. Do not trigger the pipeline if any change in the readme file. This is the basic of the YAML file, that when we want our pipeline to be triggered with multiple options, that how you want your pipeline to be triggered, whether it can be triggered onto or any change onto the main branch or a specific path to be included. If anything happen onto that branch, then only the pipeline get triggered. I will explain this second part little later, because this include a more granular level, that I want my pipeline to be triggered at a schedule based. We will talk it out later on with little bit more concepts. But after that, the second important part I would go with is where you want your code to be executed, means on which particular machine you want your code to be executed. Microsoft or Azure DevOps has provided us a few VM image which is available as part of the Microsoft hosted agent. We will talk about agent in our upcoming videos, but understand in a way like this is a VM available and provided by the Azure DevOps, which we can use in our pipeline to execute the task or a steps of CI and CD. So here the reserve keyword that is being used to define the image that you want to be used is pool, that which particular pool you want to be used. And by default, if I want to be use the Microsoft hosted agent, I need to be just select which VM image of the Microsoft hosted agent I want to be used for this pipeline. So here I have given the option or a value as Ubuntu latest. You can choose it as a Windows latest, Mac OS latest, or a specific version of any VM image which are available. You can choose that as well for your pipeline. Coming to the next keyword, and where the core concepts or the logic of your pipeline to build and deploy the code has been written. That reserved keyword is named here as steps. It means where you are going to be defined what all steps you want to be added for your pipeline to be built. For today's session, I have choose a very basic one. Later in the videos or upcoming sessions, we will go more onto the deeper onto the different type of pipelines to be created. For today's session, we will restrict on few steps to show how it is working. So here under the steps, whenever any task or any step you want to be added, it is always started with a dash, followed by a space, and then which particular task you want to be at. Here I have added a task as script. It means I want to be execute a script. What does that script is like? What is that command? Echo welcome to Azure DevOps YAML. And I am giving this particular task a name as build the project. I have executed another step where I want again to be execute a script name as build completed, and I'm giving the name to this particular task as build completion. Let's make a change and then see. These are a very basic of to be started on. If you are starting out on to writing your first CI/CD pipeline, try to be understand like all those few keywords which are required to be used in order to define it up, and let's save it out. There are few concepts or guidelines while creating this YAML, that you have to follow the indentation. You have to understand that everything onto the YAML is key value pair. This is my key, and at the end this coming as level 0 means my parent, then because we have choose multiple things. It's level 1, 2, and then I mentioned the value as a main. So it's all concepts in the YAML as a key value pair. So let's see that I have written my code, my pipeline here in the YAML. Let's see when we are going to be trigger it up. So let's move on to the second part here as pipeline, where we are going to be create this pipeline. I've tried this pipeline, so let's see. But if you want to be create any new pipeline, always click on this new pipeline. It will give you the option that from where your YAML file or your pipeline code is available, or if you want to be create some automated or available options of the Azure DevOps, you can choose it, which we can talk it onto the upcoming videos. But for now, I will go with the classic editors where I want to be choose YAML file, and then we need to be select where my YAML file is available, which particular project, repository, branch, then continue. I want to go with the YAML as an option. There are many other options to create a pipeline. We will discuss in the upcoming sessions. So let's select this one. Here, give it a name as first pipeline code, and then select the path for your pipeline where it is available, and then save it up. Then there is an option to save and queue this pipeline. Let's trigger the pipeline and see whether all the code, all the syntax is fine, whatever that we have mentioned, whether it is going to be take it or not. The pipeline is going to be triggered. It has been started taking the agent. Now it's all completed, but we will go and see what happened. See, we have defined the image or the VM pool. It took that particular image from the Microsoft hosted agent. You can see it has been used the Microsoft hosted agent, and then pick up the latest version of the Ubuntu, followed by check out the code base from the repo, and then you can see the first script or the first step that has been written. Welcome to the Azure DevOps YAML, and we have given the name to this as a build the project. And then we triggered or mentioned our second task as given the name as build completion, and under that we have echo it as a build completed. That is how the different task that has been written, and then it is just completed it out, executed the next step, and then finish the job. If there is any error, it will give the error right here. Thank you so much. This is a basic of how to write a YAML or a pipeline as a code. What are few keywords that we need to be used in all our upcoming videos whenever we are going to be create a pipeline, and how to create your pipeline, first pipeline, and trigger it out. Thank you so much. We'll connect on to the next session a little deeper onto the CI/CD concepts. Thank you.